Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Voice of Rio, a brand new academic year starting this week. We're in our third day of classes, so there's a lot of excitement on campus. There are a lot of things going on. It's nice to have all the students back with us. Faculty are excited. It's going to be a challenging and fun year, and we're looking forward to a lot of great things going on at the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. This is, as I said at the beginning of the year, we have a new guest, a new show for you this afternoon. And our first guest, we have two guests with us today. Our first guest is Dr. Heather Duda. Dr. Duda is Associate Professor of English, and she has helped to redesign and rebuild our honors program, and we wanted to chat with her about some of the exciting things that are going on in our honors program. Dr. Duda, welcome. Glad you're with us.
Thank you.
You want to talk just a little bit before we talk about the honors program, just give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I did my undergraduate degree in English at a small liberal arts college called Lycoming College. I then went to the University of Maryland outside of Washington, D.C. for my master's degree, also in English, and then did my PhD at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and then came here directly from Western Pennsylvania. I've been here, this is the beginning of my 9th year, and I love it. It reminds me of home, only with smaller hills instead of mountains. So I've enjoyed the 9 years and look forward to what this academic year brings.
Good. And you when you came here, you got involved in the honors program, and my understanding is we've had the honors program for quite a while, but when we had some turnover among faculty, you took over and took on that challenge of the honors program and did some redesigning. Can you give us a little bit of background on that?
Sure. When the honors program was designed, it followed a very typical small school design where it was based on contracts. So instead of having a separate curriculum for honors students took their regular coursework and chose usually 4, maybe 5 classes that they did what were called contracts in. So they would do something above and beyond the work of the class, say an extra paper, an extra presentation. And then there were 2 options. You could just do the contracts and you could graduate with an associate honors, or you could then take an additional class and do an honors thesis and graduate with a baccalaureate's honors. It was a great program, worked really well, but honors programs, as with any academic program, they evolve, they change. And when I came on as director of the honors program, I was tasked with updating the honors curriculum. And instead of doing a contract system, which has its positives, but also has its negatives, for example, students really never have a class together. So if you're an honors student, you don't necessarily know your fellow honors students because you're never in a classroom setting together. And for me, it was that sense of community that was really important to the honors program. It's what I valued being an honors student when I was an undergraduate, and I remember those days fondly. Of course, I remember the academic work I did, but some of my best friends in college came out of the honors program. And I really wanted to build that sense of community in. The way I chose to go about that was to create an honors curriculum that actually had a series of honors courses. I used best practices across the nation. I relied heavily on the National Collegiate Honors Council's website and their manuscripts about how to create a strong academic honors program, and then modified it to work here at Rio. And I think that the outcome was really positive. We have our first group of seniors last year who went through at least part of the program, but this program's only been going for 3 years, so we have yet to have students start as freshmen and then graduate. We'll be having that group next year, so we're still in that sort of transitional year this year.
So other than the classes now that are designated as honors courses, what else do the students do?
The students we have a general ed curriculum. So if you're an honors student, you have a curriculum that replaces the non-honors general ed. So we have interdisciplinary classes that cover the humanities, composition, lab science, and social science requirements. In addition, our students do 4 seminars. They're 1-credit seminars, and over the last few years we've kind of tweaked them, and what the students really like are hands-on seminars. So your next guest taught one last semester, a fine woodworking one that students loved. Right now we have Professor Benji Davies is teaching a 30-day challenge seminar, so students are going to choose 2 30-day challenges of their own design or ones that do exist, and they're going to do them and report back on them. And Dr. Chad Duncan, one of our psychology faculty, is going to have his students choose a psychology experiment, script it, research it, film it, edit it, and he's going to use the finished product in his classes. So they're very hands-on, and they change every semester. And then when students are seniors, they complete a senior project. It used to be a senior thesis, but theses are great exercises, but don't always fit with every major. So some majors, it is typical that you would create a senior project that would be a written project, but in some majors, it's not about the written project, it's about a visual project or an interactive project. And so the senior project allows students to do a project that is relevant to where they are either academically or professionally, or just an interest that they've never had a chance to pursue here at Rio.
And so you've, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Dahl.
I was curious as to whether a student who is in the technology programs could come into the honors program, and what might that curriculum look like?
Absolutely. We do allow substitutions for non-honors courses and honors courses. You can substitute 2 non-honors courses for an honors course. And so, for example, I often tell students if they are in one of the allied health or science classes, they should bring in a lab science to replace the honors lab science class. We do have some flexibility. There are only 6 general ed honors courses that are kind of set in stone, 3 every fall, 3 every spring. So those are easily picked up even if you have something like clinicals, or you've got a set schedule for your first couple of years, or you have more flexibility in your first couple of years and your second couple of years are much more heavily scheduled. Then there's that flexibility. We offer those 3 fall courses every fall, the 3 spring courses every spring, and then the honors 1-credit seminars we do 2 a semester, and every semester, and the times kind of float on those. So I think so far my experience has been that the schedule will work. I have yet to have a major where it doesn't work. Where we sometimes run into trouble are students who come in with a lot of transfer credit, or they were students who took high school courses while they were in high school. Sometimes people think of the general eds as repeating. It's not. They're designed to be above and beyond what students might have had in a general ed course. So instead of, for example, speech, so honors students do argumentation and debate. So even if you had speech at some point, taking the argumentation class is not duplicating what you've done, it's building on what you've done. So I think it works, but again, the program is only in its 3rd year, the redesign, so we are still working. Every now and then I'll have someone who hasn't gone through the program in that major, and we have to make some changes and work with the schedules.
I've found that the students in my college actually really enjoy the classes.
Great.
I've heard some very positive feedback. It does fit schedules of students no matter what their major, and I have students across many majors in the College of Professional and Technical Studies. So I think it's working well, not only for the students in Dr. Lawrence's college, but also for the students in my college who might be a kind of a different type of a student.
Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. Another option, because sometimes we do have students who come in and they're students that maybe only have 4 semesters. If you are eligible to be in honors, you are welcome to take honors courses, even if you don't finish the whole curriculum. It just on the transcript wouldn't say graduated with honors, but you certainly would have those honors courses on your transcript. So even if you could only take 1 or 2 courses and some seminars, maybe do the senior project, that is always an option.
So you've had just a few years of doing the revised honors program. You want to talk just a little bit about some of the exciting research things that have been going on with some of these students?
Yes, last year was our first group of seniors who really did the senior project, and I was so excited about the diversity of those projects. We had 2 computer science students. One created an algorithm to solve Rubik's Cubes. He can solve a Rubik's Cube in a very short period of time, and it was a lot of fun. And another one of our students created a video game. We did have a couple of education students who took a more traditional approach and wrote more of, I don't want to call it a thesis because sometimes that word scares students off, but a professional academic paper. And so we had kind of all sorts of variety in our senior projects, and our senior art major did her senior art exhibit and kind of took it up a notch for the honors component. So really the senior project can be anything.
Well, that's exciting. And it's exciting to see that there are opportunities for students who want to go and push themselves and challenge themselves to actually do that. And it's exciting to see the projects that they've been doing. I remember walking through that, and that was also, we had a number of students who are not just honor students involved in that. Can you speak just a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So part of the senior project got me thinking last year about how I felt not only should honor students be able to share their research campus-wide, their scholarship, but all students at Rio should be able to share their scholarship campus-wide. And so I worked with a committee of faculty members and the provost, and we created the first RISE event here on campus. And in April last year, we had a day-long exhibition of student scholarship. Any students on campus who were interested could present a poster presentation. They could do a paper presentation. We had some performances. And it was such a great experience, and students who attended enjoyed it, students who participated enjoyed it, and we're going to be doing it again this April, so be watching for that. And anyone out there who's interested in presenting your scholarship campus-wide, it can seem a little daunting, especially if you didn't experience last year's event, but it's a very safe environment in that no one is critical, everyone is supportive, and they just want to hear the scholarship that you've done and the awesomeness of your work.
And they're not just doing that alone. Typically, these students have some kind of a faculty member or more who are helping them, guide them through this process.
Yes.
It's a terrific opportunity for students to take advantage of getting involved with a faculty member, more so at a deeper level than just what happens in the classroom. It's one of the nice things that we can do at a smaller institution that often doesn't happen at a larger institution.
Yes.
Dr. Duda, we are so pleased that you were able to be with us today, and we're excited about the things that are going on in the honors program, as I know you are. And we look forward to a terrific year, and I'm looking forward to that RISE event again in April. That was such a neat experience. So thank you for joining us this afternoon, and good luck to you this year and to your students.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I found, Dr. Lawrence, that I've heard students have very positive comments. Sometimes students think about a general education class and they're not really excited about it. When they look at some of these other classes that they can take and substitute, all of a sudden you see the twinkle in their eye and you see them actually start to get excited about learning. And to me, that's very exciting to watch the students get excited about the process.
When they get interested in something, it's intriguing to them. They really want to go in depth into that area, and that's neat to see. It's what learning is all about, that spark of curiosity that will guide them into something else that's going to be deeper than what they might just get in the classroom.
Right. I think we're very fortunate to have Dr. Duda's leadership in this program.
Absolutely.
I'm also happy that we have another guest with us today, and that's Mark Nelson, and he's Assistant Professor of Fine Woodworking. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
And he has some exciting news to share with us about a competition that just occurred. But before we get into the competition, could you give us just a little bit of information about your program and maybe a little bit of information about you?
Sure. So I teach in the Fine Woodworking program here at the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. We have a 2-year associate's degree, and basically what we do is we build really high-end quality furniture. And so our emphasis is on our projects primarily. We cover a wide range of topics. If you know anything about woodworking, it's hard to cover everything, but we do a really good job of building a foundation and to basically build off of with anything to do with woodworking. So our emphasis is on quality. So our projects that our students are producing are really of a high standard. We're very proud of that, what we like to kind of set ourselves apart from other programs doing woodworking in the fact that we strive to have our students produce something of a really high quality, and this custom work kind of thing that we are doing is not something that everybody can do. So our students are coming out of this with a sense of pride and accomplishment in physically building something and taking something from a plan to an actual product. And that's very important, and they seem to really thrive in that once they learn that foundation. And so one reason that I'm here today is we had a student enter a competition in July, and it was through AWFS, which is the Association of Woodworking and Furnishings Suppliers, and they sponsor a student competition which is for high school and college level. It is a juried competition, and so you submit your project, you submit a little article about your project, and it is selected, hopefully. They run this competition every 2 years, and it's called Fresh Wood. And so we were lucky enough to have a student accepted this past year, or this past summer. So we went down, they fly the student out, they fly the piece out. You get to spend time in this show and surrounded by the industry, which is really cool, and the Expo Center is just a massive space with all this technology that has to do with woodworking set up. They really highlight the student when you're there, and it's a really great achievement for that person. And so when we were there, we were really happy to just be there, but he also entered his piece into the case good category, which he won first place in. So we're extremely happy and proud of him. His name's Matt Spallinger, and I think we also have some photos that showcases his piece, and they are from the show, and there's a few that I brought that actually show the building process.
Can you tell us a little bit about the piece? I see that there's some pictures up now of the piece. So
walk
us through the process.
So what you're looking at right here is basically what we would call the lower case. And for those of you that don't know, that's walnut, which is the species of wood that he used. The legs on this piece are particularly kind of neat because this is what you call a cabriole leg, so there's this particular process in getting this curve made, and then at the bottom is what people really like, is what we call ball and claw. And what that is basically involving is taking a square chunk of wood, shaping it with various tools and machines, and carving that literally by hand into a three-dimensional shape that you see. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. There's a lot of skill. There's a lot of patience that's needed. Here's another photo of him. This is actually through the upper case of his piece. I kind of snuck up on him and took a picture while he was working on that. And so this kind of shows some of the detail of the joinery on the inside, on how the drawers are basically supported and how the piece is supported through the shell. This one, he's doing some hand planing. I think he was working on drawers at this time. You can see the drawers are kind of pulled out. And this also showcases another part of our program that we are particularly proud of, and we stress a lot our dovetails. Dovetail is kind of the quintessential joint when you talk about really high quality woodworking. And so what we're doing and what we're teaching these guys to do is have the ability to use machines, but everything is eventually touched by hand. So these are what you would call hand-cut dovetails, and we're refining every process. Even if it is involved with a machine, we're refining those processes by hand. So here is his setup at the show. He classified this piece, I guess I should mention, as the miniature highboy. And a highboy is another piece of furniture that kind of resembles this, but it's a lot larger. And so this is his setup there, and the setup was really, they do a really good job. That's Matt with his little certificate on top. They do a really good job of showcasing the students' projects and really showing off that the hard work and the dedication that they've put into these projects. And I have to say, for the other students and other projects that were there, I was just really impressed. The students and the quality of all the projects were really good. Some stuff, it's very neat to see the diversity in the projects. There are more contemporary pieces. There are more pieces that are often even designed around reproduction of like a factory assembly type product. And then there are one-off pieces kind of similar to what Matt's doing, and it's more of a one-piece custom high-end furniture. So it really has a good diversity of the students' work.
The piece that you had a picture of is a miniature highboy, but it looked pretty tall to me. So what would be the dimensions of this piece?
This probably ranged somewhere, just to kind of put it in a perspective. I mean, Matt's probably around 6 foot tall, so it's maybe somewhere around 50 inches tall total from the floor to the top of the molding. Width-wise, you're looking at, say, 40 inches or so, give or take. A larger actual highboy is much larger than that. I mean, it's probably well over 6 foot tall and substantially wider and deeper as well. And it's kind of like basically just blown up proportionally. And it was an interesting piece, and we were particularly kind of fond of this one because the way it turned out, he set out to the lower case of this piece was a strict reproduction of a different desk. So he had a really good lesson, and at a certain point throughout the semester, we decided to basically say, well, we're maybe bitten off a little bit more than we can handle. Let's try to see what we can come up with to manipulate this into something that we know will get done. And so that piece is not a reproduction of anything other than just me and him collaborating and saying, let's change this, let's change that, and he brought a lot of good ideas to the table, and it ended up basically being it is a first place in case goods, so it couldn't have turned out any better for him.
So it's an original design.
Yeah, mostly, I guess. It's kind of both, kind of half and half.
How long did it take him to complete the project?
We operate obviously on 2 semesters, and he started that in one class, and so he carried that through his first semester into his second semester. So it was basically both semesters right up until the end to achieve that and to get that completely done. Typically, as these guys, and another thing to be said with Matt is that he was building other projects alongside of this project. So he had maybe 3 or 4 projects going at one time. Some substantial, some smaller, and we try to have a diversity in their projects as we go, and so they get a very good variety of building different things.
Well, they'll have to have some of the basic skills mastered, and I assume those would be done with smaller projects.
Sure.
That would focus their energy on just like the dovetail approach, or that sliding dovetail we saw, or whatever that technique might be.
Right. Yeah. Sure. And the other thing to mention is this is Matt was in his second year when he built this project. So you wouldn't necessarily expect to see this out of a first-year student, and so he's taking everything he has learned through his first year and translated that into what you see, and some other projects obviously that he did are really nice as well. This one he happened to win a first place in, but his other projects are just as good. So he's got a good portfolio to kind of show off now that he's graduated, and I believe he's working for a local cabinet shop where he is from now, but he has intent to continue his own shop and have his own business.
That's wonderful. We saw some pictures of him working in your shop. Can you tell us a little bit about the shop that the students use and the equipment that they'll be working on?
Yeah, sure. We have a very, very nice facility. It's about 10,000 square foot. That's broken up into 2 halves. We have a bench side and a machine side. The bench side is kind of what you would think of. Your bench is kind of your school desk, so to speak. This is where you're building your project. This is where you're leaving your tools. This is where you're doing most of your handwork. The other side is all machines. We have the luxury of having multiple table saws, multiple bandsaws, multiple machines set up to where when you have a large number of people in a woodworking facility, there tends to be a bottleneck sometimes. And so we have multiple machines where we eliminate a lot of that bottleneck, so the efficiency and the production of the projects don't typically get slowed down too much. And the space is what is just really, really nice. I mean, anybody that's done any building, the more cramped you are, the harder it is. And some of these projects are large that we have to move around, and so the the space that we have allows us to kind of spread out a little bit. The students have room to work, which is nice. And then we have not any, we don't have any high-tech CNC machines, so to speak. We would love to, but we're still dealing with machines that realistically help us produce things in an efficient manner.
I've been to your lab and I thought it was quite impressive with the space that you have and the way you utilize this space.
Yeah.
What about the tools that the students use? Do they provide their own tools?
Yes, the students are required with a tool list to start the program. Most of the tools that they are required to provide for themselves are, the bulk of that is initially in the beginning. Most of that are your hand tools. So we deal with hand planes, dovetail saws, chisels, things to that nature. And we try to encourage people to get the best quality that they can get. These things are going to last forever, and if you are serious about woodworking and this is your possible profession, these tools will last you a long time and hopefully make you money.
And you're a graduate of our program, right?
Yes, I'm a graduate of this same program. I also have a bachelor's in industrial technology from Rio. I came and I never left. So I've been here, been working in some capacity at the shop since 2005. I've been full-time since 2008. And like I said, I kind of came and never left, and so I've seen a lot go through the shop, and I've seen a lot of really nice projects, and so I've had that luxury of being there for a long time and participating in a lot of really neat projects. So. And
the students who graduate from the program, do they typically stay in this area?
Not typically. We have a few. Most of our guys are coming from usually a larger metropolitan area. That seems to support what we do a little bit more than the area that we are in. And so what they tend to do is go get a job that is in an established cabinet shop, whether it's typically on the high-end side of things, but that could range from custom interiors to millwork to cabinets, anywhere to custom furniture. So we have people going all over the place, and it's pretty neat to be able to talk to those guys and hear those projects that they're working on.
That's exciting.
We appreciate you being with us today and talking to us about your Fine Woodworking program, and I know you're very proud of your student who
yes.
earned the prize, won the prize, and your program is an exceptional program. So thank you for your time, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. So.